Let's get these social medias. Kabow, kabow. Peace and love, kings, queens, and gods. Come on in, invite a friend. Matter of fact, invite about 10 cuz it's the Floating Yogis Book Club and we about to go in, y'all. So, I encourage you to go and hit that like, go and hit that subscribe, go and hit that notification bell. And also, while you're at it, check out some of the partners, some of the people who help me be me and help me do what I do. Invite some friends. Matter of fact, invite more than 2. Tell the crew to come through so we can be part of the growth gang too, my dude. I'm trying to tell you, sometimes it's just so smooth, it'll roll off the tongue. It's like buttery biscuits, but better for you. What up, Jen? Bloomy, what up, Yoga? If y'all want to be part of the Zoom room, if you want to be able to be in the convo so we can chat, make it happen, rapping, all that stuff and all that action, I encourage you to go to that link that I just pinned on the in the comments. Courses.uedc.com. You can sign up for the newsletter. You can sign up for all the free services we have available, like this book club that's about to be bumping. And they mind right, a little quick meditation and breath work, clear the apps, close them up, come on back and make all the action happen we trying to do, right? It's these little things. It's those little things. So some of the people who help me be me, help me do what I do, like I mentioned before, my dude DJ Tony, he's part of the crew. He comes from a dimension where people are our greatest resource, and I'm gonna have him chat with you for a second and so he can tell you about some of the things that he offers and has for us, what he's adding to this growth game.
All right, everybody. So I truly do believe that people are our greatest resource. So every morning I get up and out of bed a little bit easier, knowing that I can bring to you a little bit of love through the form of love, breathwork, and prayer. I go live and I say I love you, and then we take about 5 deep breaths, and then I'll give you a quick prayer. That's less than a minute. It's less than 5 minutes total. It's a great way to start your day. Look me up. Let's be friends. Come receive some of this love and goodness in your life. Then hop on over to Yogi.dc on IG, and you can click on that move to meditate button because you don't breathe for a minute and you're going to do some stretches eventually. So click on that and join the growth gang. Next day you get a shout out reminding you to move and meditate again. Let's be friends.
Come on now, it's those little things that make things just a little bit smoother, knowing that there's a community with you on your growth mission. So those days where you feel a little less motivated, you got someone to just talk to you like you need it, off your ass and on your feet. Ain't no time to play no games. I got some other things. But what else we got? I'd also like to thank Lifeform for the fantastic mats. I'm telling you, dope design, slip resistant. It makes it more difficult in those tricky moments and gives us like jumping through to the seat. We got to make sure we get the clearance, and it makes things a little bit easier. So when we putting in all that extra work, we're not slipping and sliding off the mat. We got a little bit more understanding of our foundation and how we can get a little bit deeper into some of these postures. We can take those lessons we learned on the mat, off the mat, into our daily lives, into some of these healthy habits that we're implementing, and just watch ourselves elevate to a new level of living, of existence, of being, because that's what we are, human beings and whatnot. With all that fun stuff said, do we got anyone else? No commercials, no stops, no breaks. And also,
I'd like to be recognized as a DJ. I'll travel.
come on now. And Pay Yoga got you. He got you if you looking for a DJ. I'm telling you, check out his prayers in the morning and everything, in the moments. You gonna get some interesting. It's gonna be some interesting time. He gonna get you hooked up, and he travels. So hit him up. Like, come on. What else we got? We got Brent LV. He gonna get you together with the digital assets, any of the social media stuff you looking for to piece together. We working on a nice, fantastic piece to summarize some of this deep work, all these 400 some pages. We working on a little piece that'll be released shortly. that will be able to summarize some of the info. So when you need like a quick reference, we got all the good stuff for you to keep you on your path moving forward. All right, I think that's it. At least for the moment. You know, I'm gonna throw some more in there. Born to Fly Fitness, fitness is fashion, and mental health is wealth. You know, I'm gonna throw them in there throughout the time. So just keep your head on a swivel, or your ears on a swivel. It's not the same, but you know what I'm saying. Ears open, let's grow. All right, we are on chapter 34, Worldview is the name of this chapter. Is this the same chapter? Yeah. Worldview. Page 249. We're reading How Yoga Works. If you're with us, I encourage you to get the book. If not, go and grab a drink, a J, whatever it is you get to ease your day. And let's get to it. Fourth week of October. If we've been trying very hard to plant good seeds in our minds, slowly and steadily for a while, then sometimes we get a glimpse of what life can be like in the end. It's a little miracle comes to help us. And so just at one of the most difficult moments of my life in the jail, there was a little commotion outside the window. I felt the magic, and I collapsed to the captain's hands and pulled him up to see what it was. Before he had a chance to think about it, the corporal was there, sitting in the dust like a little boy. The bottom of his white cotton pants getting all brown. Around him stood the little cluster of incessant sparrows, rushing in little groups to small pieces of his mother's flatbread as he tosses them around in a circle. His face was alive with childlike joy at their happiness. And we stood and watched the captain and I at the window, our hands still touching and the tension flowing away. The sunlight poured in happily and caught our faces. And I saw his handsome features relax at the corporal's lovely innocence. The little birds pulled at pieces of bread, chirping furiously as they were playing tug of war. And then beautiful little red birds like finches landed and ended the little sparrows' tussle, chasing away both sides, grabbing the piece themselves. They were followed by larger squawking jays and that did the same to the finches, and finally 2 huge black crows swooped down and sent everyone else their own way, devouring all the bread the corporal had left. And he laughed and got up happily and dusted off everything except the big round circle of brown centered over his backside, and walked slowly off of the site to the porch. The captain turned to me and touched the captain turned to me. The touch had healed us and gone, and said gently, "I'm sorry I got upset. You know, I really do have a great respect for the master and for everything that you have spoken of. It's just that sometimes it's hard when he says something that sort of goes against a lot of what you grew up with. And it takes time to think it over, to figure it out." I nodded. It was the same for me when my teacher first introduced a lot of these ideas to me. I dare say I was much more stubborn than you are, much more set in the view of the world, even so young. It don't matter your age. We can really get caught up into the way that we perceive reality. A lot of times we filter our reality through our emotions or our traumas, the things that we've endured. And when I say trauma, I don't mean like some humongous incident that happened in your life that was so big. It can be something small, like being dismissed at a family event when you had something to say and it just hurt you and now you just don't speak up for yourself. It could be something like that. But moving forward, if you want to be part of the growth gang, if you want to be part of the convo, you can join the Zoom room. The link is pinned in the comments. Go on, sign up for the newsletter too, y'all. Hey, what up, Brent? What up, China? All right, moving forward. And then the crows took off into the air with their sharp, loud caws. And I looked at the tiny crumbs of bread in the dirt and the sparrows who had been there first and began to hop back for whatever they could salvage. Sometimes I wonder, I said quickly, leaning my elbows on the windowsill. Wonder what? He said, leaning out next to me, and we drank the fresh air. I mean, look at life. Look at the way life works with the birds. Each one is absolutely intent on getting a piece of bread for himself. And there's a natural order of things, you see. If you have the bread, but if I show up and I'm bigger and stronger than you, then I simply take it away from you. And the same if someone bigger and stronger than me shows up, and that's just the way it goes. And that's how people have lived too. I mean, most people, for as long as there have been people. But then you have to imagine that there was a day long ago, somewhere, say maybe in a cave or something, where humans first began. And one human comes in with maybe some berries or a little dead animal he's found, and he sits down to eat it. But then he sees that there's already another human there in the cave. And there's a tense moment while the two look at each other over to see who's bigger and stronger. I mean, who will take the food from the other? And then something odd comes into the first one's mind. And he takes his berries or whatever and just hands some of them, or maybe all of them, over to the other person without a struggle, without a fight, just because he feels how hungry the other one is. And then maybe that next day, that first human goes out again looking for some food, and he is special, you see, and he notices that food seems a lot easier to find that day. And then some unspeakably holy, sacred string of thought passes through his mind. And he says to himself, maybe food's easier to find for me today because I shared my food yesterday. Oh, this is like tapping into that abundance mindset. I felt excited just thinking about that first glint of understanding. And I felt it begin too in the captain at my side. You see, I went on looking at his face. You see, he doesn't have any idea about seeds or pins or mental images forming because of the kindness he saw himself do before. He just had a flash of insight. He is framing that in his mind. And in the moment, the greatest invitation that humankind has ever created. Kindness. So I'm reading a book now. It's called A Little Emotional for Jumi. That's her bedtime story. She's loving that jump. And that's kind of like what the book is pushing. It's like at the end of the book, all these things happen: anger, worry, guilt, sadness, embarrassment. All these different emotions are flooding through him. And I'm like watching Jumi's reaction as I read him. And she's just loving just the mention of the emotion and like what it's supposed to look like. She tries to make the face herself or make the sound herself for like sadness, ooh, or embarrassment. I was like, okay, or relief. I'm like, all right, I see what you're saying here. But kindness is the one that gets it. And because they saying that kindness is the one that makes you feel the most like content after anger. Just a little happy after anger. Anyway, moving forward. And you see, it's not just an instinct with him anymore at that moment. I mean, he's not like an animal feeding its own young or anything like that. He's moving up to a whole new level of humanity. A whole new evolution in the human spirit, because he's beginning to undertake kindness as a principle, as a part of the way he sees the world. He is showing kindness to another being because his very view of reality is changing. He is developing this new worldview where he grasps that the very things and events around him may be created by the kindness he shows to others. He's changing his worldview. So once you start framing how you see the world, filtering how you see the world through the kindness you share with others, a new reality starts to set in for you. I agree with that. It's the same thing happens when you're filtering the worldview through anything. Gratitude's a great one. If you're appreciative, if you're grateful for the small things that happen in your life, it shows that you're not passing them by, and you get a little, at the bare minimum, this is a horrible example, a little dopamine hit for that. Boom, pow. A little spiritual dopamine hit for that. Pow. Another little line. Pow. Another little bump. Pow. Maybe it's this finger. Pow. Anyway, moving forward. At some point, this worldview graduates to an even higher evolution. He sees not only that he can fulfill his own needs with this very way of viewing his world, he sees that everyone else could fulfill their needs this way too. If he simply passes on to them what he's learned, sharing his discovery of how kindness changes things as he first shared his food. And so I guess you can call that moment the birth of yoga, or whatever name you want to call this divine understanding of kindness and the sharing of kindness in your own language and culture. And you see, I breathed in. This is all I meant to say today. This kind of thing, this human discovery of kindness, and it goes beyond all differences in people or countries or time. And like all discoveries, like all great ideas, it can get lost for a while. In any particular cultures, civilizations, they're just like individual people. They may be doing very well on the whole, good on a large scale, but then, just like any one of us, they might make a mistake. Make a mistake as a whole people. I sat him back down at the desk, but I took his hand again in my own to make what I had to say easier. I mean, I will give you an example. It's just one example, and it may be hard for you, but I don't mean it to be. I just want it to be something that you won't forget. The captain agreed with his eyes, warm and moist. Moist. It must be the same for anyone in the world who imagines the very discovery of kindness, especially kindness wrapped in real understanding. Lord, with a T, kindness wrapped in real understanding, yo. I'm gonna let that simmer for a moment. I'm gonna let that simmer while I take a sip of water, just a splash of the agua. And if you don't know and you want to be part of the growth gang in person, you can check out Sun and Moon Yoga Monday through Friday. We got my source 6:30 to 9 a.m. And maybe you're like, I'm not an early riser. I got a little bit of time. Late morning. All right, well, we got you at Flow from 10 to 12. We got you Monday, Wednesday, Friday with an opportunity to be part of the growth gang in person. So come on, vibe with us. Come on, thrive with us, because that's what we're doing. We are restructuring how we see and engage in health and wellness. We're changing our worldview on it so we can step into that area where we can manifest those things, like how you talk and manifest that kindness. Just look through that worldview, and let's see what comes to us. Let's change our worldview on health and wellness. All right, I messed that up. Got to find what page it was because the book thing came out. 252. Let's make it do what it do. Thank you. Appreciate you, Pelger. Daggone it, you see what I mean? Phenomenal resource. Alright, and we're back at it. Back at it again. Who else here? Go on, drop a heart in the chat so I know where you at. So I know you're here vibing with me, kicking it. Or like a meditating person. I'm with that too. I'm with that. Or a book, because we reading a book. Those are my three. Alright. The captain agreed with his eyes, blah, blah, blah. There's a young man, I began. He grows up in the countryside and then comes to the city to find his career. And he manages to get a job in an office somewhere. And there are other young men working there, young men from the city itself. And then one evening, they take him out to dinner, and they serve him some liquor. And he's watching all of them, and there's this kind of ritual about the liquor. The waiter comes and flourishes it, and the bottle is opened grandly, and immediately there's a kind of excitement and anticipation among his fellows. And rounds are poured for everyone and downed, and he drinks his too, even though it's just tastes to him like some terrible soup of rotten wheat or something. But it seems to do the thing. It seems to be the thing to do. And he goes along with it to fit in, and after some time he gets used to the taste. And he finds out that at some point it really is just a waste of water from rotten grains and fruits, but that people in the city consider it quite important and sophisticated, even arguing between them whether the wastewater from the rotten grain is more smooth or if it's more mellow, or whether the barley root for a few months is copper kettles or tastes better, or the grapes rotten and for a few years in wooden barrels, things like that. And to him, they all taste pretty much the same, just the taste of something that has spoiled. But he doesn't let on, because you see, this liquor thing seems like something that people who live in the city should know about and use constantly. It is an aura of romance or adventure or kinship, something. And so he learns to drink. And the people around him teach him to drink, simply by their example. And then one day, someone close to the young man dies, you see, and he has this tremendous pain that never lets up, even for a moment, even at the night for sleep. And he finds out that if he drinks a lot of the rotten water, when then the pain is numb for a few hours. And then the drinking grows and grows and gradually takes over his life, and then it gets ugly. And the very people who taught him to drink don't want anything to do with him. And then gradually you see his own life is ruined, and for the sake of any companionship at all, he draws others into his drinking, and then perhaps even one day he drinks too much and then causes an accident, and someone very innocent is hurt seriously. And then on that day he wakes up and realizes something, that this liquor thing, this adventure and ritual of the fine drink, it was all simply one horrible, useless tragedy. A simple and terrible mistake in the path of his life has taken. The captain's head was bowed with the pain of remembering it all. I squeezed his hand tight and brought his eyes back up to mine. And so you see, there are ways of behaving, there are ways of viewing the things around us that a person, as he or she goes through their life, simply discovers are a mistake. And they discover it in a hard way. And people, real people, good, honest people, they get hurt. And they get hurt sometimes in a way that can't be fixed. And on a larger scale, whole countries, whole cultures, whole civilizations even, they can make a mistake the very same way an individual person can. I mean, the liquor is a good example. What is it really? Just an accident? A good, honest food like barley or wheat that could have made it into bread to fill the bellies of the poor and the children of the poor who are always with us. And this food is left somewhere to rot, to spoil. And then a whole network of mystique takes over the packages. It sells, it serves, it makes it seem exciting and sophisticated, and then it goes into people's bodies, and a great many of them can't control themselves, and gradually it causes them illness and sadness, sadness that spreads a poison, that spreads and poisons the lives of their wives and husbands and children. In the culture, you see, the viewpoint they grew up with about liquor, that it's something exciting, something that will bring companionship or romance into their lives. This viewpoint will survive the ones who are destroyed by it. And so the culture, which is really just a big group of people over lots of generations, has been infected by a viewpoint, by a way of viewing the world, which not only doesn't help the people who are the culture, but actually does them great harm. These same viewpoints, though, you see, can be strong once they get started. And that's because of the way that they are passed down from one generation to another. I mean, most of our viewpoints about what, say, harming other beings are not something that we in any way came up with on our own. Almost everything we do and almost everything we believe in, we do or believe in for one reason, and for one reason only. And it's our parents taught us. It's what we've learned from our older brother or sister. It's what the teachers in the school said when we were very small. It is what everyone else does. It is what everyone else believes. And they are only doing or believing in it because someone else did it before them, and for no other reason. Oh no, I thought the camera was gonna last. Close. But this one's still on. What up though? Boom, 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 boom. Let's see if this thing gonna work like I want it to. You gonna work like I want you to? You saying no. Okay, that's cool. Since you ain't gonna do it, I'ma just keep moving. What up, Penny? Welcome. Alright, back at it again. The video will come back on. And so you see, a very bad way of acting, a very bad way of thinking about things can just keep itself going blindly, madly, from generation to generation, like the myth of fine liquor. The master is talking about this when he says, the sixth obstacle is a mistaken view of the world left uncorrected. Mistaken view of the world left uncorrected. I can see that being severely detrimental. Let's say that. I mean, liquor is just a small example. There are other worldviews which can simply destroy an entire civilization unnoticed. The idea that...
I understand the importance of cutting off family members. I've heard a lot of stories about a lot of familial abuse. However, I've heard some other people who just didn't really want to put the time into being family anymore. And I'm thinking, so your kids are about to lose all their heritage because you don't want to be annoyed once a year for Christmas, or Christmas Day.
So I'm in an interesting space with that, because I was never personally a holiday person. I ain't really care about Thanksgiving. I ain't really care about Christmas. Even when I was staying with my parents as a kid, it wasn't really a big thing. Now, as I started...
My focus was on the family, not the
So, as I started getting older, and especially more so in the past few years with Jumi and everything, and Jarrick and Jolie with the twins, I have started kind of like really understanding the difference and stepping in the role of hosting these holidays or events and stuff. And it's been a huge shift. It's been an enormous shift. Like, not only just in how I go about things, but the people, my family members, how they engage with me and with the family and with what we're doing. It's a huge shift. And I've been seeing it, like, I'm taking it away from the holiday, because it's not about the holiday. It's a reason to it's a reason to congregate. Now, if you don't like the actual holiday, do something different. And that was some of the things that I started to do, like Hallmark holidays. I hear you, but I'm not just going to celebrate something and spend no money just because some businesses that are going to profit off of it said so.
I will, however, take every free day off work that we choose to take. So, thank you, Jesus, and Martin Luther King, and
Yeah,
everybody else who has.
had a hand in that situation. Yeah, I feel you on that. I feel you on that.
We need a week off during Black History Month. Just saying, we need to make it happen.
I ain't gonna be mad at that. I ain't gonna be mad at that. A week off. Where am I gonna go? Where am I going? I know this February, Nadia and I are going to Tulum. So that's gonna be lit. Y'all can help some black folk out with that. And come vibe with us in Tulum. It's gonna be lit. I'm excited, y'all. Sound baths and everything. So just go on, click the UE link. It's on there too. You can check it out. We set up the payment plan, make it happen, all that stuff. I'm gonna be back from Thailand. Thai massages will be on deck. So go on, book yours. Anyway, let's move forward. Well, one more addition before we move forward. So find something to do with your friends, your family, your folk, and just make it a ritual. That's one of the things I feel like we can pass down to our family, and that's one of the things that I'm doing with mine. Whether it's picking up a holiday, I don't care what the holiday is. It's more so it's the fact that we're all off work. What's your excuse? Let's meet, right? And it's just so much that comes from it. So much that comes from it. All right, let's get to this chapter. Let's get back to this chapter. See if the camera's back working the way I need it to. Yeah. All right. I mean, liquor is just a small example. There are other worldviews that can destroy an entire civilization unnoticed. The idea that war could end violence. Pause. The idea that the number of things you have in your house or the size of your house could even remotely make you happier. Pause. The idea that you obtain things by competing aggressively with others who want the same things and not by doing the exact opposite, working together with those people to acquire those things. The idea that you must die, the idea that you must grow older, the idea that your body is made of pure light in the perfect world of light is only a fairy tale, only some old myths, and not something real that you can reach simply by undertaking a very simple and sincere series of practical steps, as we're doing now. And so the great masters of old, you see, wherever they lived around the world, they have taught their people to follow the code of self-control. And before it was a rule, it was a code, a personal code, a way of life that you kept from the inside. And not because someone outside told you you had to. You followed it because you knew it would put the seeds in you that would create the perfect body and the mind to carry on to this perfect world. And you knew that if you could do it yourself, then you could really help others do it. And so here's the master grants us the great gift and the highest form of self-control of all. It's not the act of avoiding harm to our bodies or the bodies of others. It is not anything that we say, kind or cruel. It is how we see things for the view of the world. This worldview is what will determine what all of us do in our worlds and actions, in our words and actions, and what we pass on to our children for them to follow. And then finally says that we must be willing for the sake of others and the children who come after us to examine how we view the world, to think about what we've learned from all those around us and all who came before us and see if it's really helpful, see if it really works the way everyone said it did, or perhaps see that it does not work at all. It never did. like the lie of liquor. And if we discover that a worldview does not work, if it does not help people, if it does not really bring real happiness to people, then we must have to have the courage to stop following it and correct it. And not blindly pass it on to our children, something which will not work for them either, something which may even hurt them.
Hey yo, I realized that when people start the process of unlearning something that is part of their foundational beliefs from childhood, the more you unlearn, or the deeper you need to unlearn, the more you're able to absorb, or the more you're able to expand, in a sense.
I agree.
And what I was thinking when we were reading was that kids question everything because they don't have a solid foundation yet. They don't know what's impossible. And at some point, there's too much information in the world that we want to digest. Mm-hmm. And you have to know something in order to learn something. There are prerequisites to knowledge. You can't multiply unless you know how to add. Mm-hmm. So, in our quest of knowledge and in our day-to-day, it's a requirement to some degree that we have truth. And I think having truth is a trade-off between questioning truth.
Oh yeah, because the minute we accept it as truth, we believe it. It becomes real to us. And that's when the whole shift of change comes in, because we have to shift our worldview. And children can do it so effortlessly sometimes. Sometimes. Some adults do.
They ain't worried about bills. They're worried about their friends at school, what shoes they gonna wear.
Mm-hmm. Are they gonna get that extra snack at lunch that they like? Like, they not worried about their life crumbling and falling away. Like, come on. They ain't worried about the electric bill. Pepco, it's gonna do their thing. They don't even know Pepco's a thing. They think Pepco is Petco. That's what it is. Let's scroll. How much longer we got? Yeah, we got 10 minutes. Let's finish this chapter. We got what? 1, 2 more pages. 3 more pages. All right, we got to read. Let's get it. Welcome. I encourage you to sign up. Get a link is pinned at the bottom. Join the growth gang. Join the newsletter, and let's grow, y'all. All right. And he says that we must be willing for the sake of others. I already read that part. Alright. And so what I mean, Captain, is that I am offering you new ideas, a new way of viewing the world, a new way of understanding how things work, and how we can stop even the grand mistakes of unhappiness, the aging of the body, the death itself. But you must listen with an open mind. A mind opened by the realization that the way that we're taught to view the world simply doesn't work on these most important points of our life. And if the viewpoint doesn't seem to make sense, then you must ask questions about it until you're satisfied, or else you should wait on it, or even reject it too. Continue with your search elsewhere. But if you examine these ideas, this new, most ancient worldview, and if you find that they do make sense, then you must have the courage to give them a good try, for your own sake and for the sake of others. And that is something. I drew myself up tall like Katrine would have. Much different than throwing your pen across the room every time you're presented with an idea that is new to you, but which may be very well, but which may very well actually save your life and the lives of those you care for. I stopped finally, but kept hold of his hand. He was just staring into my face, mesmerized again by the real possibilities that were opening up. The dream of a perfect world is too strong to die in our minds, even after we cross the border into adulthood. It just needs waking up sometimes. He nodded silently, solemnly, and we went and did our giving and taking, our breathing and knocking on the pipes with our good old sweaty poses. She was like, we just gonna let this simmer. We don't even need to do too much talking about it. We just gonna let it steep, and we gonna revisit this. We're gonna come back, Cap. We're gonna come back. We've got to get this all organized before it gets completely out of control, announced the sergeant. He was talking to Basuku and me face to face, huddled in a little trio on the floor of my cell. Basuku and I were too surprised to do anything more than just listen to him as he went on intensely. I mean, there's just too many people involved now to let it go on haphazardly, he continued. Obviously, to our uncomprehending stares, now, as I see it, first priority is Miss Friday's weekly class with the captain. Since the captain has to turn around and pass those on to the corporal and myself right after, so that should take place, say, on Monday mornings as early as possible. He looked up at the window. I'll inform the captain, he said, and make a little note on a piece of paper before him. Now, my boy, Ajit, should be coming in, say, right after that, since children are so much more fresh in the noon. That means you'll have to get your boys in by mid-morning too, Basuku. Basuku's incomprehension deepened noticeably. That is, if it fits in with Miss Friday's weaving schedule. And the sergeant looking at me, but I was catching as little of this as Basuku, who finally stirred himself. Ravi, what on earth do you mean about my boys? What do they have to do with all this? He demanded. That, rushed on to the sergeant, hardly even pausing. I was home last night thinking about the captain's last class with Miss Friday. Here, he reddened a bit, but Basuku saved him. Oh, I get it, exclaimed Basuku, his face alive with his thoughts. Oh, brilliant, Ravi. You're going to put that worldview thing into our practice right away. Break out of that idiot worldview and take care of our just ourselves. The worldview that everyone drilled into us growing up. Taking care of the other boys too, so you can see the yoga work on them and your boy. The key to how yoga really works, the ultimate worldview, taking care of others. Attaboy, Ravi. Ha ha. And he gave the sergeant a hearty slap on the back that set him to choke. She's infectious with it. She's infectious with it. Then to me, Basuku winked and said, oh, that was a great class with the captain, Miss Friday. We were all eavesdropping and cheering you on. Ravi said that he was going to go in and plow those new worldview seeds into the captain's head with a stick if he ever threw his pen across the room again. Didn't you, Ravi? That kind of completely defeats the purpose of it, but let's move forward. And Basuku slapped the sergeant again on the back, which set him to choking again, and whispered to me, seeds ripening from smacking you and me before. You see, and I'm just helping them ripen. And he slapped the sergeant on the back one last time for good measure. That's a little bit of vitriol, a little bit of revenge. Just a dash of revenge. When he mostly recovered, the sergeant went on shifting a bit out of Basuku's range without even thinking. And then, Miss Friday, what I see is this quick launch for you. We'll see that you get a nice proper dinner later on this evening. And then a class with the corporal's mother. I guess 3 days a week might be enough to start. I nodded dumbly, overwhelmed by it all. Good, then it's all decided. He stood quickly and tapped Basuku lightly on the head with the end of his stick. Now, back to your cell. Round one. I need a few words with Miss Friday privately. Basuka worked himself up with a groan. I can't believe you made me do the long bow pose 3 times last night, he moaned at me and shuffled to his cell. And don't forget to come and bar my door, he yelled back to the sergeant. People walk in and look at me funny like I'm too dumb to escape, he whined. The sergeant squatted down next to me again. I really want to thank you for your Jeet. He began, and he almost started to cry, which did start me crying. He was so much happier, and he hasn't been able to walk this well in years. Not since. I nodded quickly. It needed not be said. And he asks, he asked me about you. If you would let him take Long Life out for walks, you see. Say once in the morning and once in the evening. He says he thinks he has it figured out. A way, and the sergeant stopped again, laughing, almost crying. A way to make Long Life's legs all better. Some kind of yoga poses for puppies that Ajit says he's worked out during the silent sitting at home. I nodded. That would be wonderful. Wonderful for Long Life. Wonderful seeds for Ajit, I said. Then it's decided that, said the sergeant, checking his paper once more and then folding it up and slipping it into a shirt pocket. On the way out the door, he turned and said, Ajit has also offered to give Long Life a bath, say once a week. That he won't be bringing any fleas. Fleas, I said? I mean, yes, fleas. I don't want the dog staying in one of our cells and bringing fleas. My mouth dropped open. In or out, smiled the sergeant, and he strolled out the front porch into the sunlight. What? She in here changing things, making the inside of the jail the outside of the jail. What? What we got? How long is this next chapter? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. We might get 2 chapters next time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or not. We might get 2. We might not. We're gonna see what it do. But that's where we at. Next chapter, matching pictures. Whatever that means. That could be a fun one. Or not. But worldview, for sure a hit. Change the way you look at things, and the things you look at change. It's that simple. We just have to know what to change and what to change it to. Stay tuned, y'all. Let's figure it out. We know violence is one. We know drinking is another. Maybe it's fatty foods as well. Who knows? Just, a little self-reflection could go a long way. You got any questions, any bricks you want to throw, or any statements that are standing out to you, Tony?
I did highlight a section.
Uh-oh.
That I wouldn't mind going back to quickly because I'm so tired.
Yeah.
Oh, when she said about discovering kindness, I feel like there are a lot of adults. I say it often that the world doesn't have to work the way that we think it does. And I'm the only person I know that actually lives depending on people the way I do. Like, literally, I wouldn't be able to survive without my friends. So, and there's nobody I know that lives that way. Everybody is self-reliant. Everybody has the security that they need by providing it on their own. And I have a security that can't be bought.
Ooh. A security of love. Ooh. A fellowship of kindness.
Paragraph about discovering kindness for the first time reminds me of every time somebody actually sees the way my life really works. Like when they see me struggling and they see the help that manifests. Or when I tell
That's a good one. That's a good one.
My universe is powerful, man.
I'm telling y'all need to tap into Pay Yoga Universe. That's all I'm saying. If you ain't following them, go on and follow them, cause that sounds like the way that we should be living. This whole money concept that we use, it's not really spiritually fulfilling. We don't really pay for things because we have it. A lot of the things that we get and give are based off of what we feel and what we need, what we feel we need and what we believe we need. We would exchange things as opposed to let me give you money. No, I need this and you need that. I have this and you have that. You're not using, all right, we can move forward. But we are in a culture that is pushing individualization. So everybody has to, like Tony was saying, have their own and do for their self, as opposed to like branching out and just helping the person beside them. Especially when the person beside us is like someone that we actually rock with, someone we actually care about, someone we actually spend time with. Like, I got some loving folk around me too. I appreciate my community, my family, my extended family, all these things. That's what it is. Like, I'd be a whole different human. Oh, okay, no, we doing great on time, yo. I thought this thing said 44. This thing was gonna cut off in a minute, yo. What? Come on now, I'm with it. Yeah, it goes like a mug. Burn. The person beside you is probably yourself having a different experience. Bars. The person beside us is more than likely ourself having a different daggone experience. It's just wrapped in a different skin suit, a different meat sack. That's it. Rocking with it. All right, y'all. Questions, comments, want to work on something, want to be part of the growth gang, I highly encourage you to hit that pinned link at the bottom. If you ain't able to hit it, it's courses.uedc.com. If you don't know, just check my website after I go. Check my profile after I go. It's time, space, and opportunity for us to, I ain't want to say it again, but grow. I'm going to say it again because that's what's happening. If it ain't about growth, it ain't about me. Get it about it. What else we got? With that being said, that link will help you out. You can check us out at Sun and Moon Yoga in Arlington, Monday through Friday. You can check us out at Flow Yoga Center, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I will be gone for the month of December. I'm going to Thailand. Hey, I'm excited, y'all. It's going to be fun. I'm getting my Thai massage certification. Been practicing a few years. Now it's time to just knock it in and add some of the services. It's going to be a phenomenal addition to how the setting helps us to like learn about our body. Then we can go a little bit more in depth where we're not physically trying to move our body. No. This is what I was talking about in the room. You feel that openness? Here go your arm. Boop. And we just going to do a few pulses. Just loosen up that shoulder girdle a little bit. Loosen up that rotator cuff. Maybe even the scapula. So come on. Just come to one of them sessions. We're going to hook you up. All right. I think that's it. Thank Life Form. Y'all got some fire mats. I'm going to throw it out there. Born to Fly Fitness, with fitness and fashion, mental health as well. No commercials. Pay Yoga Universe. Bryn LV. Char's Cookie Jar. That's where I'm going to leave it. Happy birthday, Char. That's where I'm going to leave it. With that being said, hit me up, y'all. Let's grow. Peace and love, kings, queens, and gods.